G'day reefers, I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Welcome to Gallery Aquatica TV. Today we're going to be having a close look at RODI filter systems. We're going to be having a look at an RODI filter system that has actually failed a reef aquarium and what the effects on this tank are. We're going to be replacing this RODI system with a brand new one which is specially designed for reef aquariums, and we're going to be showing you why this system is so good. This is the RODI system, which is producing the water for one of our favourite tanks on Gallery Aquatica TV, Acromagic tank. And with this system, it's a 4-chamber system. The first section is a sediment trap, basically like a sponge. The second is carbon. The third up the top is the RO membrane. And the final chamber is the deionization resin. And so water passes through here. It feeds into this storage container, which it is then taken to the tank to fill up the RO top-up. Now, with this system, it's been here for quite some time, and the TDS meter isn't working. So we really don't have any way of knowing with this unit what the TDS that it's producing is. So today I've brought a handheld TDS meter, and we're going to use this to check the TDS of the water that this system is producing. We like to have a TDS of 0. A TDS of 1 or 2 is acceptable, but I always change out each of the cartridges on your RO filter when the TDS gets to be 3 or above. So with this one, let's have a look. Okay, so just as I expected, the TDS is about 30 parts per million. So this system is producing very high TDS water and is not acceptable for the Acro Dream Tank. Let's have a look at Acro Dream Tank and see what effects this RODI system is having on the tank. So Acro Dream Tank has never really run on low nutrients. The nitrate has always been around about 10 to 15 ppm, and the phosphate has always been above 0.1 or 0.2. But it typically hasn't suffered from many problem algae, and in fact this tank has really always thrived. It's only recently that we've started to suffer from a variety of problem algae. Now the first of which was a bit of a green hair algae, which has certainly subsided. There has been diatomaceous algae, which has been significantly worse than it is now. You can still see a little bit of it on the substrate, but we're definitely suffering from dino. So fixing the RO filter system is definitely high on our priority list to getting this tank back on track. Let's have a look at the new system that we're going to be installing to produce water for this beautiful tank. The RODI system that we're going to be installing today is Reef Pure RO Essentials Plus. Now this is a 4-stage system. It produces 200 litres per day or 50 gallons, and it is designed especially for use with reef aquariums. So let's have a look. So this is the system, and it's very similar to the one that is currently running with a couple of small differences. You'll see we have the sediment filter, we've got the carbon block, and we've got the RO membrane chamber at the top here. But this is one of the biggest differences. This is the deionization resin chamber, and you'll notice that it's actually clear. And this is one of the most important differences with this system. It's going to allow us to see when our resin is exhausted, and I'll explain a little bit more about that as we set the system up. So there's a small amount of assembly involved with these systems, so I'll start putting this together now. This is the RO membrane. This is the DI resin. Our TDS meter, some brackets, a ratchet to tighten each of the cartridges, and we've got our RO filter tubing. We're going to start by putting the membrane up in the top section. Okay. So now I'm going to put the 3 bottom sections together. So first of all, the sediment trap. Okay, so that's it, ready to go, like so. So I'll put that one back on. Tighten it with our ratchet. The second one is the carbon. Yep, so that's good to go. This is the main one, which we need to open up. The resin. So as I said, the actual chamber is transparent, but you also get this inner section that you fill with resin, and you open up the bottom, and we're going to fill it with our resin. Now it's very important how you fill these. If you don't fill them full enough, you'll actually find that the water will circumvent the resin and it won't actually be filtered properly. You can probably use a funnel. This stuff is a bit messy. It's probably a good idea to do it outside or in a sink. But the important thing is you can see the color of this resin. Now this is what I alluded to before. This is a color changing resin, and as it exhausts, it actually goes orange. And this is one of the best things about these systems, is that you can tell the state of your resin by the change in color. All right, perfect. So you want it to be tight. That little foam donut at the top really does allow it to sit tightly. So that's nice and packaged resin in our chamber. We're going to put it back on like so, and then put it back onto our RO system. Alright, so now we just have to put our TDS meter on and set up our hoses. This is our dual line TDS meter, and so you've got 2 points that you can measure the TDS. The out is quite obvious. The water coming out of the system is what we want to see. This is the important one. This is the one we're going to be hoping will be 0. But the in, there's a couple of places you can put this. Typically people tend to put the in TDS meter on the water coming in from their town water into the unit. But what we're going to do today is we're actually going to put it on the outlet from the RO media, the RO membrane, and that way we're going to be able to see how well the sediment trap, the carbon, and the RO membrane are working, so we've got a good idea as to exactly when we change these 3 parts. So this is going to be our inlet just here before the resin, and our outlet is going to be here after the resin. These TDS meters are very easy to install. You just got push fittings. So this is the out. I'm just going to put it, you get a little bit of the hosing right there. So then pushes in like so. That's the out. This is going to be out into our barrel where the water is going to be collected, and I'm going to cut the filter hose right here where I'm going to then install the in. Let's see. Alright. Easy. I'll just set this here for now. And now all we have to do is have our water feed into this section and set up our out system so that it feeds into our water storage collection barrel. Something else I'll just quickly point out is that there is a 3rd line for these systems. We've got our inlet and our outlet filter hose, but there's also a waste. Now what that means is that there is some water which is produced, which is waste, which has a high TDS, and it just goes down the sink, or in this case it goes onto the garden. So it's this point here. Now with this system I'm going to use the original hoses that we had. So in this case the waste is black, so all I have to do is feed the black waste hose into here and the other 2 hoses, and then we'll have our system running. Okay, so this system just mounts very easily on the wall with just a couple of screws. Now this is the inlet, so I'll take that off, and this is our input hose. Now this comes from a tap which we've got just down here, and it feeds straight into here, and our outlet, the water that we're producing, is just here. This is going to go into the barrel like so, and our black waste, I'll just take this off from the last unit. our system should be good to go. We'll turn it on, check for leaks, and then check the TDS. Just turn on the water to feed the RO system, and this is the waistline. Typically you see water coming out of the waistline before you do out of the RO water that's produced. So I'll know that the system is filling if I see water come out of here in just 1 sec. 3, 2, 1. There we go. All right. So now let's check the rest of the system. I can see the system filling up with water, especially in the DI resin chamber. And so we'll give it a few minutes just to push some water through, fill up the system, and then we'll have a look at the TDS and see what that's doing. We've had our RODI system running for about 30 minutes now. So let's have a look at what the TDS is doing. Alright, turn it on. So the out TDS is 0. That's exactly what we were hoping for. With a new system like this, with new media, new resin, it should be at 0, and that's exactly what we've got. Now you remember that we positioned our intake TDS meter after the RO membrane. So let's have a look at what TDS is reading at that point. And it's reading 4 ppm. So the town water in this area is normally around about 200 ppm. So these first 3 chambers are actually taking it down to 4 ppm, from 200 down to 4. So they're really doing the job. Now, if we see this number increase, we know that we need to change the first 3 sections of this filter. But the out TDS is what we're most interested in, and that's at 0, so that's really good. I'll turn that off. Now, most importantly, you can see that the resin is that nice deep green color. Now, when that changes, it will actually change from the bottom up, and so it will start to go orange. Now, we like to change these media before they actually fully exhaust. And one of the most important things to remember is that if you do leave your resin too long, it can actually purge back into the system. And most importantly, what is generally released by the resin are silicates. And silicates are what will really promote the growth of the diatomaceous algae that we're seeing in this tank. And this is why this system is so much better. Being able to see the change of the resin as it exhausts gives us another way that we can monitor our water quality. We also use the TDS meter and handheld TDS meters to confirm, but being able to see the change in color of the resin is a really powerful tool to ensure that the water that we're putting into our reef tanks is as good as possible. So that's it for today's episode of Gallery Aquatica TV. Hopefully you've learned a little bit about RODI systems and why these Reef Pure Essentials Plus are so good. I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Happy reefing.
That's our video for today. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button and make sure you've subscribed to our channel so you don't miss an episode of Gallery Aquatica TV. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Happy reefing!